Peace and welcome, fam. I'm Antoine, and this is My Dharma Path, where sacred stories meet real life and the Sutra flows with rhythm. Today, we're stepping into the 23rd chapter of the Lotus Sutra, Former Deeds of the Bodhisattva Medicine King. This one's a tale of deep devotion. Medicine King hears the Dharma, feels it in his bones, and makes the ultimate offering, not out of pain, but out of clarity. He returns radiant, showing us that transformation is real. So, take a breath, ring that bell if you've got one, and chant it with me. Namo, Saddharma, Puṇḍarīka Sūtra. Let's tune in and honor the path. I'm using the Burton Watson translation. There's a link to the online version on the channel, and you can find it. I'm going to start reading. Former affairs of the Bodhisattva Medicine King. At that time, the Bodhisattva constellation King Flower spoke to the Buddha, saying, World-honored one, how does the Bodhisattva Medicine King come and go into the Saha world? World-honored one, this Bodhisattva Medicine King has carried out some hundreds, thousands, 10,000s, millions of nayutas of difficult practices, arduous practices. Very well, world-honored one, could I ask you to explain a little? The heavenly beings, dragons, gods, yakshas, grant harvests, asuras, garudas, kimnaras, maharagas, human and non-human beings, and the bodhisattvas who have come from other lands, and the multitude of voice hearers, all will be delighted to hear you. At that time, the Buddha addressed the Bodhisattva constellation King Flower, saying, Many kalpas in the past, immeasurable as Ganges sands, there was a Buddha named Sun Moon, pure by virtue, thus come one, worthy of offerings, of right and universal knowledge, perfect clarity and conduct, well-gone, understanding the world, unexcelled worthy, trainer of people, teacher of heavenly and human beings, Buddha, world-honored one. This Buddha had 80 million great bodhisattvas and mahasattvas, and a multitude of great voice hearers equal to the sands of 72 Ganges. This Buddha's lifespan was 42,000 kalpas, and the lifespan of the bodhisattvas was the same. What's a kalpa?
A kalpa is a Sanskrit term, often used in Buddhism to denote a very long period of time. It's sometimes described as an eon, and can vary in length depending on the context. In the Lotus Sutra, a kalpa represents an immense, incalculable duration, emphasizing the timeless nature of the teachings and the vastness of the Buddha's wisdom. Anything else in the chapter you'd like to dive into?
In his land there were no women, hell-dwellers, hungry spirits, beasts, or swords, and no kind of tribulation. The ground was as level as the palm of a hand, made of lapis lazuli, and adorned with jeweled trees. Jeweled curtains covered it over. Banners of jeweled flowers hung down, and jeweled urns and incense burners filled the land everywhere. There were daisies made of the 7 treasures, with a tree by each dais. The tree situated an arrow shot length from the dais. These jeweled trees all had bodhisattva and voice hearers sitting under them, and each of the jeweled daisies had hundreds of millions of heavenly beings playing on heavenly instruments and singing the praises of the Buddha as an offering. What is a voice hearer?
A voice hearer, or Shravaka, refers to a disciple in early Buddhism who attains enlightenment by listening to the teachings of the Buddha. They're known for their focus on personal liberation and often practice the path of the Arhat, aiming to achieve nirvana. It's different from the Bodhisattva path, which seeks enlightenment for all beings. Would you like to explore more about this or other aspects of the Lotus Sutra?
What's an asura?
An Ashura in Buddhist cosmology is a type of supernatural being often characterized by their opposition to the gods or devas. They're known for being powerful, fierce, and sometimes jealous or wrathful. Asuras are often depicted in a cosmic struggle, embodying the more turbulent aspects of existence. Anything else you're curious about in the Lotus Sutra?
No, I'm going to go on reading. At that time, for the sake of the Bodhisattva gladly seen in all living beings, and the other numerous Bodhisattvas and multitude of voice hearers, the Buddha preached the Lotus Sutra. The Bodhisattvas gladly seen by all living beings delighted in carrying out arduous practices. In the midst of the law preached by the Buddha, sun pure, bright, virtue, he applied himself diligently and traveled about here and there, single-mindedly seeking Buddhahood for a period of fully of 12,000 years. After that, he was able to gain the samadhi in which one can manifest all physical forms. The samadhi is a deep-seated meditation. Having gained the samadhi, his heart was filled with great joy, and he thought to himself, My gaining the samadhi in which I can manifest all physical forms is due entirely to the fact that I heard the Lotus Sutra. I must now make an offering to the Buddha, sun, moon, pure bright virtue, and to the Lotus Sutra. Explain sun, moon, pure bright, and his significance in the 23rd chapter.
Sun, moon, pure, bright virtue is a Buddha mentioned in the 23rd chapter. His name symbolizes the illuminating and purifying aspects of enlightenment. In this chapter, he serves as a source of inspiration for the Bodhisattva, gladly seen by all living beings. The story illustrates the profound impact of hearing the Lotus Sutra and the transformative power of devotion. Sun, moon, pure, bright virtues teachings lead to the Bodhisattva's deep meditation and the ultimate realization of Buddhahood. Ready for more?
Immediately he entered the samadhi, and in the midst of the sky rained down mandrava flowers, great mandrava flowers, and finely ground hard black particles of sandalwood. They filled the whole sky like clouds as they came raining down. He also rained down the incense of the sandalwood that grows by the southern seashore. 6 steels of his incense is worth as much as the Saha world. All these he used as an offering to the Buddha. When he had finished making this offering, he rose from his samadhi and thought to himself, though I have employed my supernatural powers to make this offering to the Buddha, it is not as good as making an offering of my own body. Thereupon he swallowed various perfumes, sandalwood, Puṇḍarīka, Turushaka, Trika, aloes, and liquid dunbar gum, and he also drank the fragrant oil of champaka and other kinds of flowers. Doing this for a period of fully 1,200 years, anointing his body with fragrant oil, he appeared before the Buddha, sun, moon bright, virtue, wrapped his body in heavenly jeweled robes, poured fragrant oil over his head, and calling on his transcendental powers, set fire to his body. The glow shone forth, illuminating worlds equal in number to the sands of 80 million Ganges. The Buddhas in these worlds simultaneously spoke out in praise, saying, Excellent, excellent, good man, this is true diligence. This is what is called a true Dharma offering to the thus come one. Though one may use flowers, incense, necklaces, incense for burning, powder incense, paste incense, heavenly silk banners and canopies, along with the incense of the sandalwood that grows by the southern seashore, presenting offerings of all such as these, he can never match this. Though one may make donations of his realm and cities, his wife and children, he is no match for this. Good man, this is called the foremost donation of all. Among all donations, This is the most highly prized, for one is offering the Dharma to the thus come one. Who is the thus come one?
The thus come one is another epithet for the Buddha, emphasizing his enlightened state and his attainment of ultimate truth. It reflects the idea that the Buddha has come into the world to guide beings to liberation. In the context of this chapter, it highlights the profound respect and devotion of the Bodhisattva's offering to the Buddha. Sounds like you're following the story closely. Anything else you'd like to explore?
Among all donations, this is the most highly prized, for one is offering the Dharma to the thus come ones. After they had spoken these words, they each one fell silent. The body of the Bodhisattva burned for 1200 years, and when that period of time had passed, it at last burned itself out. After the Bodhisattva, gladly seen by all living beings, had made this Dharma offering, and his life had come to an end, he was reborn in the land of the Buddha, sun, moon, pure bright virtue, in the household of the king, pure virtue, sitting in cross-legged position. He was suddenly born by transformation, and at once, for the benefit of his father, he spoke in verse form, saying, "Great king, you should now understand this. Having walked about in a certain place, I immediately gained the samadhi that allows me to manifest all physical forms. I have carried out my endeavors with great diligence and cast aside the body that I loved." When he had recited this verse, he said to his father, "The Buddha, sun, moon, pure, bright virtue, is still present at this time. Previously, I made an offering to this Buddha and gained a dhrani that allows me to understand the words of all living beings. Moreover, I have heard this Lotus Sutra with its 800,000, 10,000, millions of nayutas, kankaras, vivaras, akshobhas of verses. Great king, I must now once more make an offering to this Buddha." Having said this, he seated himself on a dais made of the 7 treasures. Those rose up into the air to the height of 7 tala trees, and proceeding to the place where the Buddha was, bowed his head to the ground in obeisance to the Buddha's feet, put the nails of his 10 fingers together, and spoke this verse of praise of the Buddha. "A countenance so rare and wonderful is bright beams illuminating the 10 directions. At a previous time I made an offering, and now once more I draw near." Can you explain the 7? There's something that came in 7. Seven treasures. What are the 7 treasures?
The 7 treasures, or Sabdaratna, in Buddhism, symbolize spiritual wealth. They include gold, silver, lapis lazuli, crystal, agate, red pearl, and carnelian. These precious materials represent qualities like purity, wisdom, and compassion. They are often used as metaphors for the treasures found within the teachings of Buddhism. Quite a rich symbolism, don't you think?
At that time, after the Bodhisattva, gladly seen by all living beings, had spoken this verse, he said to the Buddha, "World-honored one, is the world-honored one still present in the world?" At that time, the Buddha, sun, moon, pure, bright virtue, said to the Bodhisattva, gladly seen by all living beings, "Good man, the time has come for my nirvana. The time has come for extinction. You may provide me with a comfortable couch, for tonight will be my parinirvana." He also commanded the Bodhisattva, gladly seen by all living beings, saying, "Good men, I take this law of the Buddha and entrust it to you." In addition, the Bodhisattvas and great disciples, along with the law of Anuttara, Samax, and Bodhi, and the 1,000,000,000-fold 7-jeweled world with its jeweled trees and jeweled deists and heavenly beings who wait on and attend them. All these I hand over to you. Also entrust to you the relics of my body that remain after I have passed into extinction. You must distribute them abroad and arrange for offerings to them far and wide. You should erect many thousands of towers to house them. The Buddha, Sun Moon, pure bright virtue, having given these commands to the Bodhisattva, gladly seen by all living beings, that night in the last watch of the night entered Nirvana. What is Nirvana and what is Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi, and how are they different?
Nirvana is a state of ultimate liberation from suffering and the cycle of rebirth. It signifies the extinguishing of desire, ignorance, and attachment, leading to peace and freedom. Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi, on the other hand, refers to the highest, most perfect enlightenment, the complete awakening attained by a Buddha. It's the realization of ultimate truth and wisdom. While nirvana is a state of liberation, Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi is the state of perfect enlightenment leading to it. Quite a profound difference.
At that time, the Bodhisattva, gladly seen by all living beings, seeing the Buddha pass into extinction, was deeply grieved and stressed. Out of his great love and longing for the Buddha, he at once prepared a pyre made of sandalwood from the seashore, and with this as an offering to the Buddha's body, he cremated the body. Explain what a pyre is. Some people don't know.
A pyre is a structure, often made of wood, used for burning a body as part of a funeral rite. It's common in Hindu and some Buddhist traditions. The body is placed upon the pyre, and it's then set on fire, symbolizing the release of the soul from the physical body. It's a profound ceremony filled with deep spiritual significance.
After the fire had burned out, he gathered up the relics, fashioned 84,000 jeweled urns, and built 84,000 towers, high as the three worlds, adorned with central poles, draped with banners and canopies, and hung with a multitude of jeweled bells. At that time, the Bodhisattva, gladly seen by all living beings, once more thought to himself, though I have made these offerings, my mind is not yet satisfied. I must make some further offering to the relics. Then he spoke to other bodhisattvas and great disciples, and to heavenly beings, dragons, yaksas, and all the members of the great assembly, saying, You must give your undivided attention. I will now make an offering to the relics of the Buddha, Sun Moon, pure, bright virtue. Having spoken these words, immediately in the presence of the 84,000 towers, he burned his arms, which were adorned with 100 blessings, for a period of 72,000 years as his offering. This caused the numberless multitude who were seeking to become voice hearers, along with an immeasurable ashmaka of persons, to conceive a desire for Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi, and all of them were able to dwell in the samadhi where one can manifest all physical forms. Explain the symbolism behind the burning of the body and the offering.
The act of burning in this context symbolizes the ultimate sacrifice and devotion. It's a metaphor for selfless dedication to the teachings and the ultimate truth. Offering one's body or limbs is a symbolic demonstration of the ultimate generosity and commitment to enlightenment. It's meant to inspire others to pursue the path of Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi, the supreme enlightenment. It's a profound gesture, highlighting the depth of devotion and the transformative power of the Dharma. What do you think?
Oh, you mean it's a gesture, and it doesn't mean that someone should literally burn their arms?
Exactly. It's symbolic. These stories use powerful imagery to convey deep spiritual messages. The act of burning one's arms is a metaphor for extreme sacrifice and dedication to the path of enlightenment. It's not meant to be taken literally, but to inspire devotion and commitment to spiritual practice.
At that time, the Bodhisattvas, heavenly and human beings, asuras, and others, seeing that the Bodhisattva had destroyed his arms, were alarmed and saddened, and they said, "This Bodhisattva, gladly seen by all living beings, is our teacher, instructing and converting us. Now he has burned his arms, and his body is no longer whole." At that time, in the midst of the great assembly, the Bodhisattva, gladly seen by all living beings, made this vow, saying, "I have cast away both my arms. I am certain to attain the golden body of a Buddha. If this is true and not false, then may my two arms become as they were before." When he had finished pronouncing this vow, his arms reappeared of themselves as they had been before. This came about because the merits and wisdom of this Bodhisattva were manifold and profound. At that time, the 1,000,000,000-fold world shook and trembled in 6 different ways. Heaven rained down jeweled flowers, and all the heavenly and human beings gained what they had never had before. The Buddha said to the Bodhisattva Constellation King Flower, "What do you think? Is this Bodhisattva gladly seen by all living beings, someone unknown to you? He is in fact none other than the present Bodhisattva Medicine King. He cast aside his body as an offering in this fashion immeasurable hundreds, thousands, 10,000s, millions of nayutas of times. Constellation King Flower, if there are those who have made up their minds and wish to gain Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi, they would do well to burn a finger or one toe of their foot as an offering to the Buddha towers. It is better than offering one's realm and cities, wife and children, or the mountains, forests, rivers, and lakes in the lands of the 1,000,000,000-fold world, or all their precious treasures. Even if a person were to fill the whole 1,000,000,000-fold world with the 7 treasures as an offering to the Buddha and the great Bodhisattvas, Pratyeka Buddhas, and Arhats, the benefits gained by such a person cannot match those gained by accepting and upholding this Lotus Sutra. Even just one 4-line verse of it. The latter brings the most numerous blessings of all. Constellation King Flower, among all the rivers, streams, and other bodies of water, for example, the ocean is foremost, and this Lotus Sutra is likewise, being the most profound and greatest of the sutras preached by the thus come ones. Again, just as among the dirt mountains, black mountains, small iron encircling mountains, great encircling mountains, 10 treasure mountains, and all the other mountains, Mount Sumeru is foremost, so this Lotus Sutra is likewise. Explain the mountains and their symbolism.
In Buddhist cosmology, mountains symbolize various spiritual truths and levels of understanding. Mount Sumeru, the foremost mountain, represents the center of the universe and the pinnacle of spiritual achievement. The comparison in the Lotus Sutra emphasizes the supreme value of the Lotus Sutra over all other teachings, just as Mount Sumeru surpasses other mountains. It's a way to highlight the profound significance and depth of this teaching.
Among all the sutras, it holds the highest place, and just as among all the sutras and their like, the moon, a god's sun, is foremost, so this Lotus Sutra is likewise. For among all the thousands, 10,000s, millions of types of sutra teachings, it shines the brightest. And just as the sun, a God's sun, can banish all darkness, so too this sutra is capable of destroying the darkness of all that is not good. Wow, can it really do that?
Yes. According to Buddhist tradition, the Lotus Sutra is considered the most profound teaching, capable of dispelling ignorance and leading beings to enlightenment. It's revered for its transformative power and is often likened to the sun and moon, illuminating the path and banishing darkness. It's a powerful metaphor for the spiritual enlightenment it brings. Quite inspiring, isn't it?
That's amazing. As among the petty kings, the will-turning sage king is foremost, so this sutra is the most honored among all the many sutras. As the Lord Chakra is king among the 33 heavenly beings, so this sutra is likewise is a king among all the sutras. That means king among all the teachings. Is that right?
You've got it. The Lotus Sutra is seen as the king among teachings, unparalleled in its depth and transformative power. It's revered as the most honored, just as a king stands above others in status. This highlights the sutra's unique position in guiding practitioners to enlightenment.
And as the heavenly king, great Brahma is the father of all living beings, so this sutra likewise is father of all sages. Worthies, those still learning, those who have completed their learning, and those who set their minds on becoming Bodhisattvas. And as among all ordinary mortals, the Shrapana, Shrakidagman, Anagaman, Arhats, and Pratyeka Buddhas are foremost. So this sutra likewise is foremost among all the sutra teachings preached by all the thus come ones, preached by all the Bodhisattvas, or preached by all the voice hearers. A person who can accept and uphold this sutra is likewise foremost among all living beings. Bodhisattvas are foremost among all voice hearers, Pratyeka Buddhas, and in the same way this sutra is foremost among all the sutra teachings. As the Buddha is the king of the doctrines, so likewise the sutra is king of the sutras. Consolation King, flower, this sutra can save all living beings. This sutra can cause all living beings to free themselves from suffering and anguish. This sutra can bring great benefits to all living beings and fulfill their desires, as a clear, cool pond can satisfy all those who are thirsty. It is like a fire to one who is cold, a robe to one who is naked, like a band of merchants finding a leader, a child finding its mother, someone finding a ship in which to cross the water, a sick man finding a doctor, someone in darkness finding a lamp, the poor finding riches, the people finding a ruler, a traveling merchant finding his way to the sea. It is like a torch that banishes darkness. Such is this Lotus Sutra. It can cause living beings to cast off all distress, all sicknesses and pain. It can unloose all the bonds of birth and death. If a person is able to hear the sutra, if he copies it himself or causes others to copy it, and the benefits he gains thereby will be such that even the Buddha wisdom could never finish calculating their extent. If one copies these sutra rolls and uses flowers, incense, necklaces, incense for burning, powdered incense, paste incense, banners, canopies, robes, various kinds of lamps, such as lamps of butter oil, oil lamps, lamps with various fragrant oils, lamps of champaka oil, lamps of samana oil, lamps of patala oil, lamps of rasika oil, or lamps of navamalika oil, to make offerings to them. The benefits that he acquires will likewise be immeasurable. Consolation King Flower, if there is a person who hears this chapter on the former affairs of the Bodhisattva Medicine King, he too will gain immeasurable and boundless benefits. If there is a woman who hears this chapter on the former affairs of the Bodhisattva Medicine King and is able to accept and uphold it, that will be her last appearance in a woman's body. She will never be reborn in that form again. If in that last 500-year period after the Thus Come One has entered extinction, there is a woman who hears the Sutra and carries out its practices as the Sutra directs, then her life here on earth comes to an end. When her life here on the earth comes to an end, she will immediately go to the world of peace and delight where the Buddha Amitayas dwells, surrounded by the assembly of great bodhisattvas, and there will be born seated on a jeweled seat in the center of a lotus blossom. He will no longer know the torments of greed, desire, anger, rage, stupidity, or ignorance, or the torments brought about by arrogance, envy, or other defilements. He will gain the Bodhisattva's transcendental powers and the truth of the birthlessness of all phenomena. Having gained this truth, his faculty of sight will be clear and pure, and with his clear, pure faculty of sight, he will see Buddhas and thus come ones equal in number to the sands of 712,000 million Nayutas of Ganges. At that time, Buddhas will join in praising him from afar, saying, "Excellent, excellent, good man, in the midst of the law of Shakyamuni Buddha, you have been able to accept, uphold, read, recite, and ponder this sutra, and to preach it for others. The good fortune you gain thereby is immeasurable and boundless. It cannot be burned by fire or washed away by water. Your benefits are such that 1,000 Buddhas, speaking all together, could never finish describing them. Now you have been able to destroy all devils and thieves, and annihilate the army of birth and death, and all others who bore you enmity or malice have likewise been wiped out. Good man, 100,000 Buddhas will employ their transcendental powers to join in guarding and protecting you. Among the heavenly and human beings of all the worlds, there will be no one like you." I'll pause reading for a minute. Where are the Buddhas said to dwell? Where's their land? No AI. Okay, we'll come back to that question later. With the sole exception of thus come one, there will be none among the voice hearers, Pratyeka Buddhas, or Bodhisattvas whose wisdom and ability in meditation can equal yours. Constellation King Flower, such will be the benefits and the power of wisdom successfully acquired by this Bodhisattva. If there is a person who, hearing this chapter on the former affairs of the Bodhisattva Medicine King, is able to welcome it with joy and praise its excellence, then in the present existence, this person's mouth will constantly emit the fragrance of the blue lotus flower, and the pores of his body will constantly emit the fragrance of ox head sandalwood. His benefits will be such as have been described above. The blue lotus flower. What is the significance of the fragrance of the blue lotus flower? Let's see. We'll try again. Blue lotus flower. Okay. For this reason, Constellation King Flower, I entrust this chapter to the on the former affairs of the Bodhisattva Medicine King to you. After I have passed into extinction in the last 500-year period, you must spread it broad, widely throughout Jambudvipa and never allow it to be cut off, nor must you allow evil devils, the devil's people, heavenly beings, dragons, yakshas, or kamdana demons to seize the advantage.
Welcome back.
Where are Buddhas said to dwell?
The Buddhas are said to dwell in various pure lands, which are realms of great beauty and peace. One well-known example is the pure land of Buddha Amitabha, called Sukhavati, or the Western Paradise. These lands are described as places where beings can pursue enlightenment without distraction, reflecting the qualities and vows of the Buddha who presides over them.
And explain the significance of the fragrance of the blue lotus in the 23rd chapter.
The blue lotus in the 23rd chapter symbolizes purity and spiritual awakening. Its fragrance represents the spread of the Dharma and the benefits of embracing the teachings. It's a metaphor for the positive transformation that occurs when one embraces and embodies the wisdom of the Lotus Sutra, leading to a life of virtue and enlightenment.
Constellation King Flower, you must use your transcendental powers to guard and protect the sutra. Why? Because this sutra provides good medicine for the ills of the people of Jambudvipa. If a person who has an illness is able to hear this sutra, then his illness will be wiped out and he will know neither old age or death. Constellation King Flower, if you see someone who accepts and upholds the sutra, you must take blue lotus blossoms, heap them with powdered incense, and scatter them over him as an offering. And when you've scattered them, you should think to yourself, before long this person will pick grasses, spread them as a seat in the place of practice, and conquer the armies of the devil. Then he will sound the conch of the law, beat the drum of the great law, and free all living beings from the sea of old age, sickness, and death. For this reason, when those who seek the Buddha way see someone who accepts and upholds the sutra, they should approach him with this kind of respect and reverence. When the Buddha preached this chapter on the former affairs of the Bodhisattva Medicine King, 84,000 bodhisattvas gained the drani that allows them to understand the words of all living beings. Many treasures thus come one in the midst of his treasure tower. Praise the Bodhisattva Constellation King Flower, saying, Excellent, excellent Constellation King Flower, you succeeded in acquiring inconceivable benefits, and thus were able to question Shakyamuni Buddha about this matter, profiting immeasurable numbers of living beings, profiting immeasurable numbers of living beings. All right, that's chapter 23. Medicine King showed us what devotion looks like when it's rooted in clarity. He offered everything and came back luminous. Before you roll out, hit that bell one more time, let it echo through your space, and chant it with me. Namo, Saddharma, Puṇḍarīka, Sūtra. That's the title, that's the rhythm, that's the vow. This is My Dharma Path. I'm Antoine. Thanks for walking with me. Until next time, keep your devotion clear, your breath sacred, and your blessings flowing.